welcome back to the Benchmarkers Rugby Show. My name is Kumbi. I'm a data scientist, but most importantly, I'm a rugby fan, and I'm joined by my co-host.
Yeah, guys, welcome back. My name is Nyasha. I too am a data scientist, and I'm your AI stats guy.
Yeah.
We have been looking at the comments, and people have thoughts on the models, but right. I bring in the AI analysis, the stats, and Kumbi is our eye test, and together we try to provide value, context, and see what we can build. But yes, right. Kumbi, the first round, the quarterfinals are done.
The quarterfinals, yeah. I mean, that was an amazing week. I mean, that was an amazing weekend of rugby. I mean, like, all four games were just really good. I think, if you're a rugby fan, you probably just really enjoyed. But I think for this video, what we're going to do is we're going to do a little review of the game between New Zealand and Ireland, right? Which we did not get correct. So we're just going to start off by talking about our model, and then from there we're just going to go look at how the game actually played out and how the stats played out as well. Right, so Mr. Stats Guy, we can take us away.
Right, so just briefly we're going to show you what we had predicted.
Yeah.
And I thought it is important to just provide some context around the model, how how it came about, and its possible shortcomings. So we do look at the average performance of a team leading into a game, right? And obviously there's no doubt that Ireland was the best team in the world leading up to this game.
Right, 17 games undefeated, I think.
Exactly.
Right, yeah.
Right. So predicting they would win wasn't really like an Einstein move. But looking at the categories that we look at, these are the categories where we say if Ireland dominate, they will win, right? Obviously, That's not what happened. And this model is actually part of a two-part model, and the next one will probably release in future episodes, what we call our winning model, which is specifically how any team could win against another team, like proposed strategies, but in the context of how they actually play.
Right.
So we are not going to predict that South Africa all of a sudden needs to play like New Zealand for them to win, or maybe the other way around. Who knows? We'll see in the final. But yes, that's how the model works. So just looking at the stats that we had predicted, we'll just quickly go over them. With the territory, scrum success, line out success, and line breaks and offloads that we predicted Ireland to win, and conversely on New Zealand side we predicted the runs, possession, meters, defenders beaten for them to win.
Yeah.
In those categories, but still lose the game. Obviously, New Zealand had a perfect game. Ireland didn't have a single scrum. Right, I guess you do have to be pretty much flawless for you to beat the best in the world.
Right.
And moving on, we'll now look at what actually happened and then discuss that. So, Kumbi, let's have a look at what happened. And
I think before we look at that, obviously, like those stats that you just mentioned, the scrum line out, we basically predicted that Ireland would win your more forward-based foundational stats, and then New Zealand, we would have the prettier, I guess, in quotes, the prettier stats, which are your run meters. But then we didn't think that they would have a much, they would have an effective attack, really. So obviously that really was flipped on its head, and we'll look at the stats just now. But I think let me just take this moment just to apologize to all the All Blacks fans, really, because for me, we didn't really give them. One of the reasons why I, for example, didn't give them a chance was because we reacted a little bit too much to the South African loss, to the French loss, and maybe we should have considered that stretch where they had brought in Joe Schmidt, Jason Ryan, and they tightened up their forwards, they tightened up their defense as well. So obviously we didn't think that they would have a good forward performance, which they did. We'll look at the set pieces and other stats just now, but I think really all credit goes to that, to them for winning the stats that we really didn't give them a chance in. So that's basically my comment on that. Right, okay, so we're going to start with the overview of the game, right? So obviously New Zealand won the game. They won it 24-28. And then from that, they basically scored 3 tries. I think both teams scored 3 tries with 2 conversions from New Zealand. I think there was only 1 missed conversion. There's going to be 2 conversions for Ireland highlighted in the stats because one of them was a penalty try. So that means that, they but basically they converted all three of their tries technically. And then penalty goals. Now this one was the massive one because essentially Ireland decided to go for posts at different times. I mean, they could have gone for posts, but they decided to go to the corners. So at the end of the day, New Zealand won because they took all their penalties. Right, so there are 3 penalties to 1. And then finally the possession, we did say that in our predictions, we thought New Zealand would have all the ball, but they wouldn't be as effective. And then it turned around. So possession, Ireland won that with 55%, and then they had 59% territory. So that's basically an overview of the game, right? So so the next thing, I think, Nyasha, you can tell us how the set pieces went.
Right, and this is where the game really is interesting, and I'm sure everyone who looked at this had to do a double take because I couldn't believe it, and I've seen a lot of people discuss this who couldn't. Right, New Zealand 5 scrums, Ireland 0. Right, 0
That was
scrums, and that I mean, which means I think it means they. Actually, by default, it means they had no handling errors. Right, New Zealand didn't have a single handling error, which against Ireland is pretty impressive on its own. So no single handling errors, no knock on, nothing to scrum, and obviously scrum success. New Zealand with 100% scrum success.
Right.
Ireland with 0.
Very impressive.
Right, now looking at the lineouts, New Zealand had 8 lineouts, Ireland 15 lineouts. Lineout success 100% for New Zealand and 87% for Ireland.
Yeah.
So this really does show a strong showing by New Zealand.
Right, definitely. Yeah, so because I think if you look here, also maybe with the scrums, I think it's hard to believe that New Zealand didn't have any handling errors. Maybe it was they had a handling error and then Irish took the advantage. I'm not 100% sure about that. But I think it's just the fact that they were 100% on set pieces, New Zealand were. That is very impressive. And the fact that we actually didn't give them a chance, because for both of these stats, we thought Ireland were going to win. So New Zealand came in with a clear strategy. They had 3 really good locks, Retallick, Whitelock, and Scott Barrett had a very good game. But not only that, they also had Adi Savea coming in as an option at lineouts. Ireland did well as well. They had Peter O'Mani. I think he took most of their lineouts as well. So they did quite well there, but New Zealand managed to disrupt. I think 87% means that they've lost 2 of their lineouts. I think that was very impressive. So you can kind of see how New Zealand managed to take over, dominate this game because of their set piece. So that's very, very impressive.
Yeah, absolutely amazing from the All Blacks. 100%. And then we can get into attack.
Right.
Now looking at attack, defenders beaten 31 Ireland, New Zealand 32 meters. Ireland with more meters. Passes, Ireland has slick hands, so 325 passes, and rucks 129 rucks 1 to New Zealand's 94. Offloads, Ireland had more. Dominant carries, Ireland had more, and kicks from hand. It was in New Zealand's strategy to kick more. So just looking at these, we can see Ireland had more defenders beaten, ran more meters, had more passes, won more rucks, had more offloads, had more dominant carries, and still lost.
Yeah, I think if you're looking at these stats, you'd really think that if you just gave us these stats on Friday and you said this is how the game is going to play out, we would think, okay, Ireland is going to win by 20. But I think this is, once again, it's exactly the same thing that we had said last week. It's almost as if Ireland were wearing black jerseys based on our predictions from last week. Because essentially, they had the attack. Because it's not even like the attack wasn't working. They weren't completely stifled. Because if you look at things like dominant carries, for them to have 94 dominant carries versus 60, I think it's more than a 50% difference in dominant carries. So the attack was working, but I think we'll look at the defensive numbers just now. But I think it speaks to New Zealand's defense, but also New Zealand's attack was also really, really effective as well. Because one of the things that we had highlighted was the fact that they're trying to go a little bit too early to the outside. But if you look at that first phase of play when they went, I don't know if it was the first, it was one of the first when they got the first penalty. They went 30 phases. And then within those phases, they weren't trying to go too wide too early. It was mostly pick and goes. It was mostly close to the fringes. And also one of the things that they did in the attack was they tried to chip behind as well. So once you do that, and then they basically did well in shaping the Irish defense. And once you start to commit those defenders in trying to cover the backfield or to try to commit and charge down, that's when, spaces start to open up. You look at the try first, Leicester Fainga'anuku. Bowden Barrett had first chipped behind because that defense was a little bit overcommitted. And then they managed to go wide. So you only go wide when you earn. I think we used to call it earning the right to go wide, right? So once they got that kicking in, then they went wide. Second try, I think that was Adi Savea. Once again, they had the rough grunt work in the middle, and then they went wide. Last try again, Richie Mwanga, I think he shaped like he was going to kick behind, and then they overcommitted, and then he dummied in, beat, I think it's Van der Fleer's try, and then went wide to Will Jordan. So I think they really did well at the New Zealand, that is, in earning the right to go wide as well. So I think, so it speaks more about the effectiveness of New Zealand's attack. So I think that was very impressive what they did in that regard.
Right, earning the right to go wide.
Earning the right to go wide.
I need to add that. I need to add that as a parameter in the model. Right, yeah. When people ask which features you're looking at, like have they earned the right to go wide and landed at the table. Right, and just lastly looking at defense.
Right.
So strong defensive show by New Zealand with 226 tackles to 155, and in an episode where we discuss South Africa, we'll really look at tackles and tackle success because that definitely does need some interpretation. But tackle success pretty much even, 83-82%. Penalties conceded 10 apiece. Turnovers 7 for New Zealand, which is massive.
Right. Yeah.
Yellow cards 2, which again, that's time with people. That's time with 15 versus 14, and still New Zealand managed to
for 20 minutes
to hold exactly, which is very impressive. I don't think that. I hope that gets highlighted quite a lot. Obviously, no red cards, thankfully.
Yeah.
I think generally this was a relatively disciplined couple of games. Yeah, but strong defensive showing by New Zealand.
Yeah, that is now that's really the critical part that they really want. The fact that usually before they were shooting up and all these things, and they were finding holes in the All Blacks defense. They didn't do that, right? So they really fronted up. I think you have to highlight for this game. You have to highlight the All Blacks loose trio. Usually Sam Cane, Adi Savea, Shannon Frizzell, they don't. I mean, they complement each other well, but then they don't complement each other as well as they did in this game. So the key stat for me here is turnovers 7-4, because as we said, we can look at stats all day, right? But it's all about when the stats happen. It's all about the timing, right? So because when I think they had a turnover for Adi Savea had a turnover on his 5-meter line, but also these guys were working together, such that when Frizzell would make a tackle, Sam Cane would get the turnover. Sam Cane would make the tackle. Savea would make would get the turnover, and so on and so forth. So they were really working together quite well. And then they got the turnovers at critical points in the game. So that was very, very impressive on New Zealand's part. So it's all about the defense. It's all about the defense.
Yeah, of course, the most important turnover being that last one.
Sam Whitelock.
Right. Yeah, but ultimately, props to both teams. This was an amazing game.
Right.
Seeing all these games go down to the last, essentially to the wire.
Right.
It has been absolutely entertaining. Well done to Ireland. Congratulations on your streak. Right. I don't think there's really anything to be ashamed of. Ultimately,
100%.
Right. Losing to New Zealand, like they're still New Zealand, and obviously congratulations to the All Blacks. Including you, Kumbi, right?
Oh yeah. I don't think I've actually announced that I'm an All Blacks fan on this channel. Hey,
I'll say it now. But congratulations to the All Blacks.
Yeah, right.
What an amazing performance. And one thing I did find interesting is we made 2 predictions for the South Africa game and this one. As soon as Ireland lost, our comments went up. But as soon as South Africa won, the comments pretty much remained the same. So, okay.
Right.
Cool. But anyway, thank you for the support. And yeah, from my side, that's the analysis.
Yeah,
Kumbi, if you have
100%.
any-
Yeah, I think I'll just mention one last time. Obviously, Ireland has had a great year. Really, this game really was more about what New Zealand did right versus what Ireland did wrong. And I think it's really unfortunate to see them go. I think that's something that World Rugby would need to address because of the way that they had seeded these teams. But I think it was an amazing game. We also then had an amazing game after that, which was the South African game. So we also reviewed that one as well. You should check out that video. But other than that, we're looking forward to the semi-finals as well. New Zealand plays Argentina this weekend. So, hopefully you all will enjoy the rugby because we will definitely do that. And then please just go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. And we'll see you all in the next video.
At Start Experience.